All right. Thank you everyone for joining today's meeting of the regular scheduled KMPD board meeting on Friday, July 3rd, 2026 at 2 p.m. We'll start with the roll call.
Okay, Minrotanda,
Here.
Epstein here, Schroeder here, Tucker absent. Rook here.
Great. Agenda number 3, announcements.
Yes, we would like to welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Kirkland Meadows Public Utility District. If you are attending online, please raise your hand function if you'd like to speak. If you're here in person, please use the podium here in the rooms and the microphone so everybody can hear your voice.
And I'll just make one other announcement. Director Tucker is not here today due to a loss in his family. And so I just want to say we send our condolences to Chris and his extended family for their loss and their grieving during this difficult time. And wish them all the best as they work through this. So we miss him here today, but certainly thinking of him and his family. All right. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, corrections to the agenda or the consent calendar. Are there any corrections?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to agenda number 5, comments from the audience. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on a short non-agenda items, which are within our subject matter jurisdiction. No discussion or action will be taken on matters not listed on the agenda per the Brown Act. Go ahead. Can you come up to the podium, please, if you're going to speak in the room?
Hi, I'm Jay Dwyer. I'm sure most of you guys know me. I live here full time year round. And I just wanted to let the board know that my power went out a couple of weeks ago, and Brandy and John and Ed and the rest of the staff, they all showed up. I got my power back on, and it was awesome. And I just wanted to point out how important it is that we did have the materials and the tools, and most importantly, the trained staff in-house to just make that happen. So if we can look at that in future repairs for whatever it is that the district needs to fix, like having all that stuff on hand allowed my service to be brought back up to speed right away. And thank you. I really appreciate it because, not having power is not fun.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to bring to the attention is if we could just keep as a community working on making Kirkwood a better place, right? Like aesthetically, a coat of whitewash makes things look a whole lot better. If we can just keep working with the ski resort, with all the HOAs to figure out what we can do to take what we have and just make it work the way it should. And I think if we just focus on that, we don't have to go beyond. We live in a community that works. And then finally, I wanted to bring to the attention of everybody that KMA is throwing a block party tomorrow.
Thank you.
We have a bunch of food. We have a DJ. There's gonna be a lot of music. There's a lot of people that said that they're gonna show up. So if between now and 4 o'clock tomorrow, when we're gonna fire up the barbecues, if you could just help us spread the word and let everybody in Kirkwood know, come over to KMA, hang out, grab a burger. The kids are going to be selling snow cones and they want to donate the money from the sales to the fire department. So I think there might be some 50-year Kirkwood books for sale as well out there. So come on by. I'd love to see all you guys.
Are they still publishing this?
Eric had a whole bunch more printed out.
Oh, cool.
So he's gonna drop a stack off.
Yeah, because a lot of people have asked me about this.
Yeah, he'll drop a stack off, and people will be able to buy them if they want.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I will just, if I may, respond to some of your points there. The first one, the power mount, is always great to hear compliments. So thank you for giving those things. I'll also say that related to one of our agenda items today is OKRs, so objectives and key results for our management. And we do have service reliability as one of those things. And so it is a priority from the board's perspective to make sure that the staff are doing what you're saying, right? Because the more downtime there is, the more our general manager and future general manager kind of get punished in terms of their performance review in some ways. And so it is a priority of the board to do exactly what you're saying. And that's one of the ways that our general manager and the staff have all tried to do higher reliable services, that we know that with our aging system, it can go down, but being able to respond quickly with parts is we do the best we can. So thank you for that. Totally agree on number 2. Certainly I reached out to Ricky Newberry, the general manager of the resort this week. We're going to schedule some time to meet and chat again. So those sorts of conversations. Rick and I are and Brandy are going to 3 HOA meetings tomorrow to present and just chat and build community. And I've reached out to all of them personally. So I know that's not whitewashing, all the things that you're saying, but I think we're trying that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. So if there's ever feedback that you can give us, please keep it coming on specifics. And number three, thank you. Thanks for hosting that for KMA, and I'll be there, I'm sure, and look forward to seeing all there. So thanks for that. And Rick, I think this reminds me of an announcement of the pancake breakfast that we probably should have made it the earlier announcements, but
Oh.
we can do that later potentially, I guess.
Absolutely.
All right, any other comments in the room? I don't see any hands up. Okay. We'll move on to written comments from the public, number 6. We have 2 written comments. One of them is in the board packet that was received earlier in the month, so it was able to be timed to enter it into the board packet. This is from Brent in the Meadows, and his comment was on the electric rate structure and study. I'll just summarize, I think, a response here at a high level, which is, he noted that this is, EV charging is something that he hasn't have available to him, so he wants to have an exemption from the rates. And I think I won't go into long detail because we've talked about this for many, many board meetings, so I'll refer Brent to previous board meetings. But I think the most important part is that the first sentence of what he quoted was customers have the ability to draw some amounts of power. That's where our costs are. It's the fixed cost of coming and drawing power in, and that's truly where our costs are. And so aligning our costs with what we charge is what we've done in this rate. And so having 2 customers that, the energy cost, the kilowatt hour charge, is really, we're closer to that, what that true cost is. And the fixed costs are truly closer to what they are. And I'm happy to reach out to Brent directly and talk more if he has more questions, but I will refer to all the rate studies and the materials in the June board packet in particular, and then all the conversations we had into that. But I do recognize that there is a concern that some people will have their rates go up and some will have them go down. But I'll also remind everyone that we were strategic in some ways of that, in that this gets phased in over the rate study. So it's not like you're going to see a massive jump in entirety this year. It will get phased in over time to try to lessen that burden in some way. So, but I understand that some people will see rate changes going up and some will see down, and that's the nature of aligning these costs better. Anything to add, staff? The second comment came in earlier today, so it's not in the board packet. It's 5 or 6 pages, so I won't read it in entirety. We'll probably, I guess, we can put it in the next board packet potentially if that could be publicly shared.
Yeah.
But I'll just summarize it. In the high level, this is from Michelle, and she was reaching out to county supervisors and representatives in the counties to about fire and emergency medical services, and then forwarded her email to them, to us as the board, and asking for us to participate in conversations with them. And my initial response is yes. We continue to be in conversation, and we'll participate in any conversations that we can have to move forward on this. We certainly will be talking about this later during the TAC report, but we are certainly working towards this, and any of our partners outside of Kirkwood proper that want to continue the conversation with us to explore, we're happy to have that conversation. So we'll include that in its detail in the next board meeting. Okay. Adoption of the consent calendar, number 7.
Move adoption of the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Yeah, Darvick, I'll second that.
We'll do a voice votes today. Since we're all in person, I'll indicate with aye in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes. All right, we'll move on to agenda number 8. There were no items brought forward, so we'll move on to agenda number 9, items for board action. So 9A here is policy 380 investments. Amanda.
Pardon me. Thank you, everyone. This is just annual reporting and review of our investment strategy. And we have a staff report here. Staff is suggesting that we make no changes to our current investment portfolio. And we would like to continue using Five Star Bank operating reserve as our primary investment program and maintain the LAIF account status balance. And then we're just noting here, you'll see it in the bullet points above, that collateralized bank deposits are an approved investment type, allowing these 5-star investments. There are attached bank statements for your review.
Good. Any questions?
I'll second that.
Any
He said
questions?
he's good. I thought he
Those are
meant.
my comments.
Any,
I don't think we're ready for the motion.
questions or
yet.
Oh,
comments?
okay, sorry.
Okay, I hear nothing. I don't see any hands up in here. Motion to approve it.
To
Yeah.
approve or accept the annual report of this.
All right.
Policy 380.
Is there a motion to
Yeah,
accept
motion.
policy 380? John motions. Is there a
Motion.
second?
Yes, I'll second that.
All in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not opposed. Great. Thank you, Amanda, for that. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to our next agenda item. We're on to 9B, connection fees and services and miscellaneous fees. Amanda again.
All right, so we have for you here the 2025 and 2026 proposed list of scheduled connection fees and services. District staff is recommending no change to connection fees. The only adjustments between these 2 years is actual cost for meters and equipment to make new connections. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but we're just asking the board to review and potentially approve this updated list.
I have one clarifying question. I just didn't remember that Amador County was a different fee than Alpine. Can you just remind me why that is? Because it was all the
Oh.
same.
The impact fee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that was an ordinance that was passed by Amador County, shortly after Measure M passed, and it was probably
Oh, okay.
28, so it's been several years since this has been reoccurring, the 8147 for the impact fee. But I could certainly dig up that information and provide
No.
it for you.
No, I'm just trying to remember. There's the amount that we collect to pay for our services. Is this an amount that we collect or it goes to Amador?
Oh, you mean the tax itself?
Yeah.
This is the amount,
The 81 cents,
we collect that
right?
for any new bill.
For our purposes.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's a one-time impact fee on combustible spaces, like burnable spaces.
Yeah.
Only.
Okay.
Right, because these are connection fees.
Mhm.
So this is a one-time fee, which is different than is it for Alpine and Amador, is it the same fee for the monthly,
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
which is like what, like 4 cents or something like that? I forget what it is.
When was the last time that we raised the connection fees?
For different services, they've been trickling up. We're currently looking at the water connection fee as well as wastewater and increasing that or changing that.
So we're doing a they're doing some investigation on that.
Yes, sir. And that's part of our major projects list as well, as
Okay.
you can see the,
I was just curious because I can't remember discussing this for a long time. Connection fees.
it's been several years.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there any other questions on the updated connection fee list?
I don't know if it's a question so much as a comment that I know through the electric rate study, we talked about connection fields for electric, Brandy. I'm looking at you in particular, right? As one of the things to consider in the future because the idea of the benefit received of the electric system not being embedded in that's one way of collecting some of that. Is that something that certainly not being included here? Is that still something on your mind that you would consider in the future?
For future consideration, yes, it's not yet a connection fee study or anything that we have on the book.
I just don't want to lose track of that.
Understood.
All right, any other questions or comments on connection fees? Otherwise, I'm entertaining the motion for approval of the connection fees.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, great. We'll move on to item 9C. This is the FY27 General Manager OKRs, objectives and key results. And so I'll just say OKR every once in a while. If you hear me say that, I apologize. It stands for objectives and key results. It's the structure that we moved to last year, where I wanted to try to make ourselves align with very clear what we're trying to do and how we are measuring what is done in that measurement. Because I think some of our previous ones were aspirational, but they weren't numerical and quantitative. And so I've really tried to quantify them. And so what you're seeing in the board packet this year is 2 pages. The first one is what we had Rick use for his assessment coming into this fiscal year, which just closed a few days ago. And then the second one is for FY27. The only real difference is the 4th row, where improvements in utility losses is going to be noted as a priority. And so the goal for today is just to talk about, is the board aligned on these OKRs for our general manager? As a reminder, our current general manager will be in place for 2 more months. And so the suggestion from personnel when we talked about this was to maintain the exact same list for Rick. He won't be technically evaluated on them, but for his last 2 months, the fourth one on his list was making sure that the next general manager is set up for success, and that's certainly going to be a key priority. And then for Brandy, for the 10 months on her term in the fiscal year in FY27, the idea would be that her list is very similar, with the utility losses being brought in as an OKR, and making sure that that's a cost-effective, we're looking at cost-effective uses of loss reductions. So that's really the synopsis of what we're trying to do here, and just have a board discussion. Certainly want the public to be able to chime in and understand what, as a board and as a community, we are telling our staff is priority for us to be focusing on. That's really what this is, because this all trickles down into the staff objectives, right? As I said before, into Jay's comments, we have an OKR on uptime and reliability. We expect staff to take steps like having things on hand so that gets reduced, and we can address these as quickly as possible. So that's the premise of what we're talking about here. With that, I will open it up to any questions or comments or thoughts on these items. I see no hands up. I see no comments online. Any board discussion?
Well, I mean, we already went through this,
We
so,
went through it. Personnel. John and I have talked about it.
Yeah.
yeah, all these topics I've already been through, so.
Yeah.
Further discussion.
I'm good with it. Oh,
All right, then I would accept a motion to apply FY26's OKRs to Rick for his 2 months and change, and the FY27 OKRs Brandy as when she comes on in September for her objectives.
So moved.
Thank you, Peter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's it. All right, that's 9C. Now we'll move on to agenda item 10, administration report. Amanda.
All right, first thing up is the overview and budget variances. You'll notice the structure of this has changed a little from the last time we presented it to you. We did this to improve readability and clarity. The format presented as is meant to function as a narrative alongside the financial statements, up to the need of whomever's reading them. For a financial snapshot for the month of April, we did well with a positive variance of $213,000 roughly for the month. And we have improved to a $182,000 positive variance year to date. Are there any questions on the overview? All
Sounds
right,
like no.
No.
moving on to the consolidated balance sheet. Were there any questions here?
I guess one question on the solid waste, are we gonna fall behind and need to look at the rates, or will it even out over time?
Move along.
It's
For
trending
solid
to fall down.
Yeah.
To be reduced. So we're gonna need to take a look at that.
Trend in that direction, and there's notes on the individual income statement for solid waste, but
Right.
there are increased costs passed along to KMPUD by our vendor that we use to take the waste away, and that's contributing to the trend that we're seeing right now. On the combined income statement,
We are there.
were there any questions here?
No, I mean, we had a slow year that kept expenses under. So we seem like we're coming out okay. Now all the adjustments that caused deviations for the year seem to have been absorbed. The way snow removal revenue was accrued was changed, so that caused some lumpiness and variances during the year. We had the unplanned maintenance that's carried through the year, but overall, we're in the black and
Yeah.
good shape.
We see that $182,000 positive variance on the bottom line. A large contributor to that is the investment income revenue, which was not budgeted, but we have had strong earnings on investments, which has really helped us out with a lower utilization year. All right. You'll note that the individual notes to income statements are now on those income statements instead of the overview. This just improves that readability, so we're not flipping back and forth between documents. Did anyone have any questions on any of the individual income statements?
All right, all good. Well,
The absence of questions is only due to the clarity of the information provided.
That's what we're going for. Thank you.
Okay,
Well, and we've gone through this already with the finance committee, so we try to get things annotated as well as possible and catch any errors.
Appreciate it.
All right, and then we can move on to the preliminaries for May. And the same trend is present here. We have some softness in residential utilization. That's the main contributor to our lower than budgeted operating reserves or operating revenues, sorry. Any questions here? No? All right, I believe Matt's on the call today. If anyone had any questions or comments on the cash flow statement. Oh, no, you may not
Not
have joined
seeing
us.
Matt right now, so.
We probably don't need them every meeting anymore.
Okay.
I think people are probably used to this report and basically cash is in pretty good condition and it'll service our operating and debt services and such for the remainder of the year.
All right, moving along to the playground and KVFD 501c3 balance sheet. Were there any questions here?
There never are.
And then the KVFD 501c3 income statement. We are earning some interest income in this account. Year to date, we have $16,700 roughly in donations and interest income that we've earned here. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on now to agenda item number 11, operations report.
Perfect.
Hi,
Brandy.
We'll start with performance reporting. So this is the performance reporting for May. You'll see for electric, year to date, we're at 7%. I will note that the graphic at the bottom of each of these sheets has not been updated yet to the new fiscal year charts that Bob recently updated. Those will be included in the next packet. And also in the next packet, it will be year end. So we will do not only the monthly, but we'll also do the comparative back for the last 5 years that we've started to take a look at. If we take a look over at propane year to date is running at a 4% positive loss, which is up and down, but we expect that will come down a bit more for June. Water for the month of May, we did see a 29% loss. We had some flushing, some dead end flushing that was happening out in the distribution system. And also tank level changes here. We're at 11% year to date, which is on track for our goal there. And lastly, wastewater, which is where our staff has been focusing most of our time on the project of trying to identify and address losses. You can see for the month of May, 81% of the water coming into the wastewater treatment plant was not sewage. It's not water that we want to be treating. We're at the tail end of I&I season for May. This is not an unusual number for any May in the last 10 years, but it's a number we would like to see come down. 42% is our year-to-date total on that. And again, where staff is spending time and effort trying to address this one.
And so remind me, Brandy, I know we'll talk about, you just said this because we'll look at the year end here in a moment, but 42%, remind me where that sits as a comparative.
It's, I mean, for an average snow year, it's about average.
So I ran into John Campbell just around town.
Mhm.
He said there were two fairly large problems that were being resolved. I think one was some pipe in the valley, I think, or in the meadow. Another one was maybe Mountain Club. Is that right?
So we, those are the two that we're looking at. We did have a company out to do some inspection, cleaning, jetting, videoing, and they came back out to do a repair on the one in the meadow.
So they did the sleeving.
They
on
did
that?
the sleeving and the patching on that one, so we're gonna be quantifying that one to try to get, an idea of how much was coming in there. The other one is, we mentioned it last
Yeah.
time, but we did some testing, in the kind of main plaza area. And found a potential issue that we're working to get addressed before the next time we've got a bunch of groundwater.
Mhm.
So we are, staff is positive here. Everyone wants to find the issues and make some progress. And we're hopeful that we're on the right track.
Thanks.
Any questions on performance reporting?
Good. Come on up, please.
Would it be possible to do some kind of like more localized metering on the sewage so that we could try to identify a smaller section that is got the INI?
The only metering that we have for the sewage is water meters at everybody's house and then the main meter at the plant. Metering for sewage is difficult, as you can imagine or know. I don't know at this point. Our main objective right now is to get video and potentially smoke testing done on all the sections of the system, which will give us a good idea of the areas we need to focus on. And then if we see something that points us towards, we would have to investigate what's out there as far as other metering.
That you just alluded to one of the major project things for the smoke testing and the camera work that we've been wanting to do for a while now. And
We have, and it is a large project to get out and get our eyes on every pipe in the valley, every sewage pipe in the valley. So we're taking it bit by bit, but we've made some progress this year and have a good contract company that's helping us out with that.
And I'm curious, how did that play, like in terms of finding the two issues that we're talking about, is that in relation to this like the smoke testing, is that what helped find some of these things?
Yes, it was initially identified, both of the problems were initially identified with the cleaning, jetting, and camera work that the contractor did for us, and then the smoke testing and dye testing, which is where you just put dye into water and see if it goes down into the sewer. That helped us identify a problem in the plaza area.
So we're seeing returns on this investment already, it seems like potentially.
We are finding problems. That is correct. And my next goal and what we'll do, we'll do a staff report on it, is just how much we spent to do this and how much do we think we're going to save.
Right.
So that's next step.
Going back to the previous agenda item on cost effective INI, because getting this to zero would probably be infinite amounts of money. When that's not what we want to spend. We want to spend the appropriate amount of money to get it to the place where it is cost effective to repair these things.
Okay, and if there's no other comments, questions on that, just one comment. We've talked before a couple of times about the new logo. It was at the board's direction that this be developed at no cost to the district, which was done. And I'll say thank you to Bob, to the communications committee, to everyone who worked on this. But we have our first set of new stickers that have our new logo and our number. They'll be going on transformers and trucks. We have magnetic stickers for the board here. But really thank you for the community. There's been a lot of interest from people about making sure that we're putting a positive image out there and making sure that we are presenting ourselves well to the community. And I'd like to say, thank you guys for doing this and making sure it doesn't cost us any money here at the district.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions out there? Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Brandy. All right. We'll move on to agenda number 12, the general manager's report.
So real brief, again, this is the major projects calendar and it's been revised slightly. As you can see at the very top line, the calendar year's been added. Doug and I worked on this. And then I'll be working with staff to try to move some of the colored areas, the planning, design, bid and constructions forward a little bit. But just so you know, we're still working with Wes Yost, who did our cross connection control plan. As you may recall, back in June of 2025, we presented that to the State Water Resource Control Board. And we're slowly working on that plan now. And I think we have an appointment with Wes Yost pretty soon next week. I have to look at my calendar. But that project continues on. And then, as mentioned earlier, we're working with Mark Hildebrand with the connection fee study for water right now. And maybe in 2027, we'll take a look at wastewater. So we'll bring that back. The propane water canopies, we're working with Todd Kean with Response Structural Engineers to design the canopy for the propane vaporizers. It's almost done, I've heard, and so we'll be bringing that as well, bringing that back. Whether we can build this summer, this fall is to be determined, but we hope to get these plans out quickly so we can make a decision. And then finally, as you recall, last fall, we had an issue with the SCADA control works between the launch tank and the treatment plant, so we could tell what's going on with the water tank levels. And so we're still waiting for Control Point to finish their work with that as well. But that is my update for the major projects, and this will look slightly different next time I present, taking into mind the recently approved capital projects list that the board did in June. And with that, I open to any questions.
Don't see any online. In the room, any questions from the board? All right, anything else you want to include in your general manager's report?
No, other than, as you mentioned before, we are having our first pancake breakfast on Sunday, July 5th, between 9 and noon here at the station. So we invite everybody to come and meet our volunteers as well, have some pancakes. This is going to be our major fundraiser for the department, and we appreciate KMA's comment about, giving donations to the fire department. Again, these are things that we use to help us buy equipment, personal protective equipment, as well as compressors, SCBA's, fire engines. So it's really an advantage to receive these donations for our small department. So if you'd like to buy tickets are available online. We've sent out a couple of community notices. And so you can still buy tickets. I think we're up to 60 pre-purchase tickets. So we look forward to seeing everybody there.
Nice. I'll also note that this is supported with the Epic Promise grant from the resort as well, for an amount of, remind me how much it was.
So we historically have received quite a bit larger grant from the resort. This year was a little bit different. They gave us a donation of almost $4,500 to purchase and republish the Kirkwood book, as Peter talked about earlier. And so the books have arrived. They're available for purchase here at the district, at the office. We'll have them for the pancake breakfast, and I guess Eric Rickard will be bringing them to KMA to sell as well. So that all those books purchased with Epic Promise grant money. Thank you, Epic Promise. And so those will be ultimately a donation to the department. And then they also provided a small donation for this event as well. So, and then just an update on Epic Promise. Amanda has already applied for next year Epic Promise grant. And so we hope to hear something before December 31st, whether we receive it or not. But no, we appreciate the ski resorts efforts, and we also appreciated being invited to the community cleanup recently. District staff, along with Vail Resort and others, helped clean up the around the base area. There's another community-wide cleanup or resort cleanup where they'll basically host people from, I think it's 9 to 12:30, and also provide lunch. And the next one is Kelly Keith's on the line. I think it's in August. I think there was one in July, and another group's going to be coming up on July 9th to do it. And then I think it's the second or third Thursday in August. There's another cleanup, and I'll try to get the district staff involved with that as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Go to standing committee reports. Agenda item number 13, finance. John.
Nothing more to add.
EOP.
Nothing more to add either.
Okay, communications, Chris is not here. Anything to add?
No,
We'll go to personnel. So personnel, we talked about the OKRs. We also talked about the org chart. And then also some of the work with CalPERS in relationship to the safety classification that we needed. Rick, do you want to talk a little bit about that in terms of process here?
Sure. So staff is working to revise our current contract with CalPERS to include a safety component. We've applied for it to fill out the application, applied. They've come back with some clarified questions, but it's in their court right now. We hope to get a response as soon as possible. But again, appreciate staff getting right on it and working with CalPERS to get this resolved. As we talked about in personnel, we took a look at the percentages, the formulas for CalPERS. And so what we're trying to do is mirror the current district CalPERS contribution with the safety program. So if the district decides to hire somebody who wants to be not just the fire chief, but do a combined role, their CalPERS calculation would be essentially the same, and it isn't becoming complicated for staff to administer. But once CalPERS makes the determination, they'll return to us. They'll ask us if we want to actually pass a resolution to approve the contract change. And so you'll need to see another staff report as well as a resolution to reflect if the board decides to move forward with the safety.
And just as a reminder, and this concept of the CalPERS designation is so that we can have the opportunity to hire someone onto the staff, but it doesn't mean that we have to. If we were to find a contract service or something like that, that's still an option. But if the district wants to go the route of hiring someone, we do need to have this classification available to us, whether it's in the immediate term or in a future term. And so the out-of-pocket cost is hundreds of dollars, if I remember, to do this. So just to get to the application, get this going, to give us that flexibility. And so it was the board's discretion to do that. And that's why we've gone down this path. The second thing that we talked about related to this at personnel was the search. And so you had posted the concept of the fire chief on our website for a job posting.
Contract.
But we asked you to go out and look for maybe a more search. So can you talk a little bit about the search process and how you worked with CPS? And
So we're working with Sherry Fairchild with CPS HR Consulting to expand the search into other areas. Like we did with the operations manager's position. And we've got ourselves dialed into LinkedIn, Indeed, other websites, GovJobs, for example, to basically broaden the search as well as refine the job classification as well and the description of the job that we're offering. So CPS with a professional consulting is able to kind of refine what we put out before. So we appreciate that. So that's where we are.
we'll talk a little bit about this again in the TAC, but okay, that's it for personnel, IT and cybersecurity. Bob,
we didn't meet.
and then LAFCO did not meet. So for the TAC, Temporary Advisory Committee, sorry, agenda item 14, we have KVFD next steps. So in terms of results of all of this outreach, have you, I don't believe we've heard anything at this point, right?
Not of yet. And if I do, I will certainly let the board know.
So we're now at 2 months until our fire chief's retirement. And so at this point, what I would like to do is reach back out to Alpine County, and when we last talked to them on the phone, recapping a little bit from last meeting, they'd said that they wanted us to go out for a search, not as the first step be a partnership with them, but they also indicated that they want to make sure that there's something happening in Kirkwood. And so as a next step after, given where we are, I would like to schedule some time with Bob and I to meet with Terry and Sam, all the people in Alpine County again, just to give them an update on where things are, what we've been doing, the outcomes of what we're doing. Did you have a question or comment or no? Okay, yes. Okay, so we'll do that. Terry is nodding. So for those who can't see it, Terry Woodrow, our supervisor, agrees. It's just to give them an update. So we said that we would do this last time we talked. It's been a month. We've taken some steps. I want to make sure that we're having a dialogue with our partners in the community to make sure that we have an idea of what we can do as of September 4th. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns on that approach? I'm good.
Well, it doesn't sound good, but it's all we can do. and we run a very high risk here.
Correct.
So CPS is it a retained search or is it a contingency search or what are they doing for us?
They're helping us with I guess the language of the job posting right now. However, we have not retained them and hired them to do a formal headhunter search, which would cost.
Tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
when we've talked to them before.
It's a
So I
little
think
bit
that's
more.
the next,
What we have on contract now.
that'll be the next step in that regard.
It's time.
I think if we can solve the CalPERS component of it, things will go much smoother and quicker. Will appeal to more people. So our hope is that we can get this done by August, and then we can formally do that necessary.
But we haven't had applicants, right?
Hmm.
Have we had applicants that declined? You haven't had any applicants, so
No,
how would they know we have CalPERS coverage or not?
we're not advertising that we have CalPERS. We're not advertising it as a paid position. It's a contract. So it's a
Okay.
little different.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking to do is do something so we don't have zero
I understand.
applicants.
I understand. I mean, can we advertise that we have a CalPERS position if we don't have it? You know, I mean, like that's,
I guess I'm probably wondering if that would make a big difference. As opposed to having a more
I understand.
focused search. Anyway, that's my suggestion.
I mean, one thing we could do is authorize the staff to hire for the, spend the money to do the headhunting search. We could authorize the staff to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be
Well, there's not much time left.
I know, I agree.
If we were getting candidates in and then they found out we didn't have the CalPERS coverage, then I'd say, oh, well, that's the bottleneck, right? If we're not getting any candidates in, I don't know that I can make that assumption.
I would definitely support a retained search at this point.
Yeah.
The word of mouth hasn't solved the problem.
The CalPERS thing is really important for most workers.
Well, you have to have-
You have to have that or they don't have the retirement system.
Yeah,
To be hired full-time,
it's
but
pretty key.
it seems like no one was interested. No, we've got no interest from a contractual position, but.
Right.
Again, maybe posting it for CalPERS will help, maybe not, I don't know.
Oh, when will you said you're waiting for CalPERS to respond, so you don't really know.
Amanda, any updates? I mean, it's 60 to 90 days was initially what they were implying, but we've been pushing pretty hard, or Amanda's been pushing really hard.
Yeah, so when we've done this evaluation in the past, CalPERS has given us the feedback that it takes 60 to 90 days for them to give us the final valuation. I have pressed with them that we need this expedited and they have been receptive of that. So we hope to get something back from them by the end of August at the absolute latest,
End of
So-
August
so-
or end of July?
the end of August.
And the
So you feel that maybe we're not getting candidates because it's a contractor position, we need to advertise for a full-time position, can we do that and then be clear that the CalPERS retirement benefits are applied for? I mean, at least then we could be saying it's a permanent position and be transparent with the candidate and say, hey, it's applied for, we have to have that in place before you would start, but maybe get more than zero candidates. We want to try that before we do a retain. Is for a retain, you're gonna have to do it for a hire and explain the CalPERS status.
Fine with me. You think that could work?
I think we'll get more movement if we do that. We'll have to obviously frame the application or the job notice with the caveat that we're pending approval of our
Yeah.
CalPERS contract, which I'm sure we'll get. The only other thing the board would decide is what a salary range would look like. Is it a full-time, is it a part-time? You know, those decisions would be, that would be that for the application or the,
Well, who do you want? You want to have personnel do it or you want to have the TAC do it? But we should just button up on that we want to advertise for a full-time, for an actual hire, that we want to say in the listing, CalPERS retirement benefits are applied for. And then come up with a salary range and post that?
I think we should, at the very least, post it with the CalPERS pending at this point. I think that's the minimum thing that we should be doing. What do you need from the, like, we don't generally post, we don't approve for salaries for other positions, right? So why do you need board approval for that here?
I guess we're gonna need to determine the salary range for the position. And we can leave that open, of course.
No,
Well, I think
you
you
should
should put-
define,
we
we
should
should
define
define
it,
it,
but-
just takes some more risk out. Right? Then you're gonna get feedback that you're not getting candidates that might say, hey, too low, right? At least we
Right.
get feedback as opposed to leaving it.
The candidate's gonna look at AFPD salary range, they're gonna look at locals, they're gonna try to be, is this competitive, this is not. I mean, we haven't done a formally salary survey for the
We need to
small
do
firm
that.
in Kirkwood, but I guess we could go back to, bring back to personnel what we think a job description is, salary range, all this, and then hopefully the board could allow personnel to move forward with posting the job. Without having going back to the board to actually post.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say I trust, again, we wouldn't approve like a operations manager job posting or salary range. I mean, I guess I want to move faster than scheduling a personnel meeting in some ways. I don't know, John, if you feel differently, but I would say I'm okay with staff posting, like, I would be okay personally with we wouldn't.
I guess I'm just,
I mean,
I'm just offering to help with
Yeah.
writing up that description, getting a hold of the, some of the salary information, looking at it. It's nice to have a couple sets of eyes.
Right.
On those things.
Well, if it's okay, can we get permission to hire CPS Sherry to formally create the job description or the notice, and then staff will develop this and we'll post it.
I think it's a
And
good
we'll make
idea.
sure you get some eyes on it. Yeah, the general manager hires and
I don't
fires, so
know, it is-
you probably just need green light from the board saying, hey, let's move forward.
All right.
We handle that?
What's going on?
I don't know. So the agenda, there's no board action that can be taken during this. So I'm trying to think about how we can navigate this.
Yeah, and we kind of morphed into a meeting, didn't we? So.
Well, we have the tact to make decisions in the meantime, so I think what we're discussing here is coming up with what a package would look like of a hiring an employee, what's needed, and then reporting to the TAC what you found and expediting it by having a retained search. And report that to the TAC as early as possible.
So you said it was gonna cost like 10 grand to put out the advertisement to hire somebody?
No,
What we said is we would hire a professional
But the company.
recruiter, yes.
so we have published a contractual position and had 0 people apply. We've gone through the CalPERS, which would then upgrade it from a contract to a potential full-time position where we can post that and advertise it, and CPS is working with us to spread that very widely. What we're saying is, like we would have done for a general manager search potentially, is retain them to go out and actually like call people and like, hey, you, Jay.
My point is why don't you do a $10,000 signing bonus?
That's not
You
going
gotta
to
get
be
Spend the
some,
money.
You gotta get somebody's attention.
Yeah,
Well, that would get somebody's attention, right?
Why not?
Not if, I mean, it's like, how do you, it's like if a tree falls in wood, do you know if it makes, like, if no one knows that this job exists, that's what the headhunter would be able to go out and do and say, hey, I know I have a Rolodex of people that I can go out and talk to.
I'm just trying to think outside of the box, because like, that's
Sure.
a lot of money. And if you're gonna give it to somebody, why don't you give it to the person who's gonna come to the community and benefit the community? I mean,
I mean,
just a thought.
yeah, I appreciate the comment. I mean, certainly appreciate it, and signing bonuses could be a part of the package. So, staff could certainly put that as a part of that.
Not a bad idea.
Well, maybe, I mean, let's just go through the process.
No,
put
no,
the
yeah.
Proper approval together,
We'll go, yeah,
the salary.
if we need to go there, we can make a decision at a later date. Okay, well,
Okay, thanks for the
that
update.
has direction and we appreciate it.
Well, that would be cool.
All right, let's move on to number 15, agenda item, general board discussion. Opportunity to ask questions, anything else, thoughts, questions, concerns?
No.
The noisy fans? Little less noisy?
Okay, slightly less noisy. Sorry, I could have covered that in operations.
They're- Almost 2 decibels quieter.
Almost 1.5 to 2 decibels quieter. So staff did the wastewater treatment plant fan noise. Staff did install sound blankets to attempt to mitigate that. Took before and after noise level readings. There's a slight improvement right below the fans and right out in the meadow directly across from the fans. However, it's 1.5 to 2 decibels quieter. It was noticeable. But once you get across the meadow, our data points don't really tell us anything. We were getting ambient noise readings on the east side, ambient noise readings out in front. And so there's no good solid data there, but there was a slight improvement near the fans that was, noticeable if you're walking there.
Yeah, I'll probably get some feedback tomorrow
I
or
I imagine I will too.
we
yeah.
probably would get some feedback. It was only, the installation was complete last Wednesday, so hopefully people have been outside and can give us some feedback.
I hiked by both of them a couple of times and there's a slight improvement. There's just one area on East Meadows Drive where you can still hear it pretty clearly. And then I noticed it attracts a lot of birds.
It does?
Yeah,
Really?
they're flying in.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Really?
So who knows what that's going to result in?
That will-
That can be really problematic.
Do we need to put those like spike things in there or something?
All right, thank you.
Well, the only other thing I'll mention is what I alluded to earlier. So Rick, Brandy and I will be meeting at 3 HOAs tomorrow, KMA, Boss Cabin and East Meadows. We'll be attending those meetings, presenting and being able to field questions in the community there. Again, any other HOA that's listening, always happy to attend a meeting if interested, KCA included. And so, I've always reached out to those folks directly to make that offer as well. And, this outreach is generating half dozen to a dozen HOAs responding. Not all of them meet this weekend. I think the annual meeting concept has changed quite a bit since COVID. And so some of them are other times of the year, and we'll keep that dialogue going. Okay. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Okay, now we're going to move on to agenda number 16, which is a closed session. This is a closed session regarding the general manager's FY26 objectives and key results review and merit increase. This is related to us closing the fiscal year here, which on July 1st started the new one. And so we're going to go closed session and then we'll reconvene as soon as the closed session is over and report out the outcomes, if any, of that closed session. And then the only agenda item after that is adjournment. So we'll see folks here in a few minutes. All right, thank you everyone for your patience. We've now returned from closed session on agenda item 16. The report out from this agenda item is that the general manager's total merit score was determined to be 92%, which results in additional salary of $4,600 for FY26 per section 5B of their contract, and an annual salary of $204,243 for FY27 per section 5A of their contract. In relation to this being the annual fiscal year review, the board and staff really want to recognize Rick for 20 years of service at the district. We want to present you with a signed copy of a nice photo of Kirkwood and say thank you for your 20 years of service. This has nothing to do with pending retirement in a few months. We'll just say that, but we just want to say thank you for 20 years of service to the district, Rick. So come over here and I can shake your hand.
Come on the front.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rick, so much for 20 years, and we'll talk more about your pending retirement here in the coming months, but thank you for all the work that you've done for the district. All right, and with that, we'll adjourn today's meeting, and we will be next meeting on August 7th, 2026, at 2 p.m. We'll hope to see you then. Thanks for attending today. Bye-bye.